Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to another episode of Wow-Ray-Ain. Today we have with us Dr. Tariq, who's the professor and founding chair of biology at LUMS. Assalamu alaikum ji.
Assalamu alaikum.
How are you doing today?
Alhamdulillah, all fine.
Alhamdulillah, that's great to hear, and thank you so much for coming and gracing us with your presence. I have a million questions buzzing in my head regarding science, religion, how, being a practicing Muslim, how do you deal with being such a high level of, your research in science and everything, your education abroad and everything. So we'll talk about that. First of all, I'd like to know, a brief journey of a little child from Faisalabad, ending up in Switzerland with what I hear, Dolly the sheep lab. So if you could just walk us through that.
Okay. Thank you very much, Vara, for having me here. It's a real pleasure to join you. I was born in Faisalabad in 1973. But I grew up in Lahore. Yeah. So my childhood was in GI3 Shadman Colony, Lahore. My father was a professor in Government College Lahore. He used to teach English. We are 5 brothers and a sister. And all 5 of us, we were educated in Central Model School, Loyma, Lahore. And I have great childhood memories from school, from our life in GR3, Shadman. So after Central Model, I went to do FSc, pre-medical at Government College of Science, Wadat Road. And from there, I went to do BS in agriculture with majors in horticulture. I think we, all 5 brothers and sisters, we were extremely lucky because we had a very unusual, I would call that, parenthood, which was deeply grounded in Punjab, culture of Punjab, because both of them, my mother and father, they come from a village next to Nankana Sahib, which is Zafarwal village. So our childhood was a mix of urban life in Lahore, education, because father was a professor in Government College who himself was educated throughout in Government College. He graduated in 1942. And he had seen the freedom movement. He was very close to Qaid. And he wanted his kids to, be educated at highest level. And every year in summer, we used to be in our village. So I think kids of this age, it will be impossible for them to think of spending 3 months from June, July, August.
The hottest months.
The hottest months in village. And I'm talking about my childhood, which is like late 70s. And there was no electricity. And we used to spend 3 months there. And then after summer holidays, get back to Lahore, get busy with our school education. And I think it's remarkable. So we have seen best of both sides, the rural life, the urban life. Then after our home time from school, we used to end up in Government College Lahore. From Central Model, we will walk to see our father in the English department. And this is where we will wait for him. We used to see how he used to teach in classroom.
In English department was gorgeous and very biased because I am a graduate from there.
So you know what I'm talking about.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Gorgeous architecture. I think GC is this place which you can absolutely be, you can have a crush on it, basically
Yeah,
speaking.
yeah. So I still remember seeing my father few times because we were not allowed to leave his office. He was very disciplined man, a very tough man. But we used to, sneak into his classroom. These are theatrical classrooms. And few times I saw him teaching in the classroom, and I felt like, a gigantic man wearing black gown. And that time I had no idea what he used to teach, but I felt like somebody is acting. He's an actor, maybe. I knew he's a teacher. Yeah, I think he used to teach Shakespeare and all these things. And I only learned about how great teacher he was when some of my students at LUMS, their parents told me they were taught by my father.
Oh, wow. Life comes full circle.
Yeah. And then I learned about all these things, okay, how great teacher he was. So, but we lost our father very early on in our life. He passed away in 1981. And our mother, actually, all the credit goes to her. She raised us, 6 of us, like a very, very, close-knit family. So we were not allowed to have our own individual bedrooms or our so-called modern-day kids' privacy.
Yes.
And
It's a huge problem.
I remember I used to share bedroom with my sister. Javed Bhai and Khalid used to share beds, and Imran Kamran will be with the mother. And our living room used to be center of all activity. And our mother used to cook food by herself. In our father's time, we used to have 3 servants at home. And recently when I was telling my kids, and they said, come on, this is not possible. I said, we had 3 buffaloes in our home in GR3, and we used to have our own
milk,
butter, and cream and whatever. And one of the servants will feed the buffaloes, one will be for the shopping groceries or bringing stuff from outside, and one will help in the kitchen, etc. a bit. And my kids were saying, come on, it's not possible. How can you have buffaloes in home?
In Lahore.
In Lahore. And that too in GR3. So, but after our father's departure from our lives, we had to, leave that lifestyle and be confined still in GR3, but in a small house. So, I think childhood was a mix of, still when I look back, it's a mix of beautiful memories, but then a big loss. And that big loss actually made all of us very strong in our lives.
This was my question. This is amazing for me to see that you somehow derived strength and the resilience to deal with that loss. And I'm sure you were 4, 5 years old at that
I was 7, and Imran and Kamran were 4.
Yes. That's a very tender age to lose a father figure.
And my mother was just 30.
That's a very, very young age.
So my mother was 30, 31. So I think in the hindsight...
How did you not feel negative or hopeless, or actually the right word would be, why did you not feel angry towards God after that? How did you justify that loss to yourself?
Very good question. So I always tell my students, my kids as well, I think our mother had and she still has a huge role in our lives. I think the positivity, what you're talking about, comes from our mother, the way she led the whole family, and she then managed the driving seat and steered the whole family through this very tough patch, very tough patch in our life, I would say. There are 2 things. One, Our father always told us, and you know, I still have, because I used to, whenever we used to go to school, I was sitting in his lap. And also, there used to be conversations on the dining table. I still have few memories, few things in my mind. One thing he always would tell us that whatever is planned by God, it's a perfect plan. So you should always be grateful. And same thing our mother reiterated when he passed away. She told us two things. In Punjabi, she would say, "Jida koi nahi hunda, uda Allah hunda." So the ones who have nothing else in this world, so God is their best hope. So that is the environment at home, and I think I still believe mothers. They have a huge role in upbringing of kids. She only told us one thing, that your father wanted you to be educated in Lahore. We could have gone back to village where we had a big,
largest support system.
Huge. My taya, my cousins, because we are family which is closely knitted and also extremely educated. We are not a business oriented family, or education is something. So my father, when he passed away, he told my mother that you have to stay in Lahore and you have to educate all these kids in Lahore, because he had lived life before partition. He valued education, and his whole life he managed to educate so many people from his village.
Not just government college.
No, people from the village, you know, especially the families where there was no education. So people in our villages, they tell us that your father would look around and he knew which kid has the potential. And there was only one route he had. He would say, okay, you are going to do BA, Bachelor of Arts, and then after Bachelor of Arts, you are going to sit in Punjab Civil Service exam. And I want you to be magistrate.
Okay.
So many people I met now when I go to village, and because we were too young, we did not know those people. Only they came forward when we grew up, and they told us, you know, your forefathers. So, and I think it came from my grandfather.
Yes.
My grandfather had told all his kids that you all are educated. I want girls and boys from this village to be educated. So he managed to have a girls' primary school up to grade 5. I think already they are in 50s or so, late 50s. And boys' school was till matric. So education was giving back to community. So our mother did not allow us to go to village. So after our father's death, we stopped going to village. Our mother said education. And I think she single-handedly managed everything. How should we, you know, which education institutes should we go? For example, when I wanted to be a doctor, and because I used to, and still, I idealized my elder brother, Dr. Javed. So he was doctor. He was in the final year when I was, I think, in the FSC. And biology was very close to my heart. And I was short of 1 mark from the merit. So I lost admission in medical college.
There comes God's plan. One mark, 1 mark.
Just one.
Yes.
So I had 795 marks in FSC. And the merit stopped at 797.
Oh.
I said I will go for dentistry, the Bachelor of BDS.
Yes.
And because 1991, I'm talking about 1991. So due to a high court decision, it was open marriage. So the quota for girls was no more there, but they will compete openly with the boys as well. So would you believe that between 797 and 795, all the BDS seats were occupied at 796? And I remember I cried.
Of course.
Because biology was very close to my heart. And then I decided to take admission in what you call now University of Veterinary and Animal Sciences in UV. That time it used to be a college for animal sciences under Agriculture University of Islamabad. So I had my admission and I was very happy, because okay, I'm not going to be doctor for medicine, humans, but animals, it's same thing, same biology, everything is same.
Healing is the same.
Yeah. My mother intervened and she said, no way. She gave me fee, I deposited fee, everything. She just kept quiet. And then when on a Monday I had to start my classes, Thursday, Friday, she said, we were sitting in living room and she said, I can't accept my son after such a good performance in FSC becomes a veterinary doctor and he enjoys no respect in the society. And being a rebellious, as I always used to be, I said, no way. So I had an argument with her. And she said, I don't allow you. So you pack up.
Okay.
And by that time, I had already secured admission in Agriculture University of Islamabad. She said, you pack up and you will go to Agriculture University.
Oh, okay.
I said, I'm not going to leave Lahore. Come on.
Yeah.
Because all my friends, I grew up in Lahore. And I mean, who would leave Lahore and go to Faisalabad? I mean, Faisalabad is now a very modern city. But in 90s, we used to call that a big village. I told my mother, this is not possible. She said, no, you pack up and you leave. Yeah. And on Monday, Javed Bhai, so I reserved my train ticket. There used to be a non-stop train from Lahore to Faisalabad. Yeah. So Javed Bhai dropped me at train station. And on our way to train station, he just kept giving elderly advice because he was our father after we lost our father. And countless but very useful advice he gave.
Did he heal your broken heart in that journey?
You can't imagine. The Monday I had to go to Faisalabad. Sunday night, I kept crying whole night because tomorrow I'm going to leave Lahore. And I remember my pillow was totally wet. On Monday evening when he left me at train station and my train started, I decided one thing. I said, Tariq, next time in life, you are never going to regret that you were short of 1 mark. So now whatever I will do in my life, I will give 110% of my side and then see what happens. And I was so unhappy leaving Lahore. I did not visit my mother and my family for next 3 months.
Oh.
That was...
that must have been really hard on you as well.
No.
Cutting out in isolation.
Not at all.
So
that was reaction. I'm not going to go back to Lahore.
Out of anger.
Yeah. Okay. And I used to tell my mother, you kicked me out of Lahore, so I'm not going to come back. So That was a difficult time of my life.
How did the Des Nikala change the trajectory of your life? Matlab, from what you had imagined, of course, things were completely different. But how do you think that that positively impacted the future course of your life? Or brought out the strengths or, parts of you that you didn't know that you had?
Whatever I am today, whatever little I have done in my life is due to those 4 or 5 years I spent in Agriculture University. I always give credit to teachers there,
Yes.
colleagues, friends in hostels. So the hostel life changed me. And now what I recommend is that every young person in Pakistan, he or she should go in hostel by the time they become 17 or 18. And I think hostel life made me resilient. I can't tell you the stories of Agriculture University hostel life, but my friends, I had a group of 50 people
Wow.
in hostel. Allah gave me a huge respect in Agriculture University because I never missed a single class. If class will start at 8, I will be there 7:55. The curriculum of Agriculture University was something much ahead of time. Very few people know what that university was all about. That university was made by Americans in 60s, late 59, 60. It used to be a college of agriculture. It was converted into a university in 1960 or so. And I think it was Washington University professors who came in Faisalabad, they lived there, they built curriculum. And the curriculum was what nowadays people call interdisciplinary, multidisciplinary, blah, blah, blah. It was an interdisciplinary curriculum. We learned sociology, we learned meteorology, we learned hardcore sciences, physiology, genetics, animal nutrition, hardcore biochemistry, cell biology, etc. Then we studied management courses. We studied economics. So
Very nice.
you think of, because agriculture is a subject which connects everything. You have to have farm management. You have to have management.
Yes, you have to have
Understanding. You have to have engineering. Yeah, we learned engineering courses too, because irrigation management, etc. Coupled with the hostel life, and what I would like to specifically mention, the diversity of the cultures.
Oh, yes.
The diversity, very rich kids
Yes.
to extremely poor people. This diverse spectrum shaped my life.
Yes.
I learned how to, talk with everybody in the room. I learned respect for everybody. We learned that, we all are humans. There used to be, the negative sides of Agriculture University were enormous as well.
Yeah.
There used to be, based on caste, because Faisalabad is very grounded in caste system. So there were Rajput Student Federation, Jat Student Federation, Arai Student Federation, Gujjar So every caste had their... And I belong to nothing. My name was Muhammad Tariq. People would ask me, what is your caste? I would say nothing.
Yeah.
So that was a negative side of the university.
Politics, actually.
Politics, yeah. A lot of politics there. Then that was also impacting it was not just students. Faculty also was divided in these castes. But the students who wanted to stay isolated, like me, we never participated in that. All of these people, they made a party which is called Inqlabi Concert. And we used to laugh, this is Inqlab, this is a revolution,
As a reaction to the rest of it.
Yeah, so I think whatever I did in my life later on, answering your question is, that was Agriculture University. The going away from home, my comfort zone, living a very tough life in hostels. Then the curriculum of agriculture was not just classroom teaching, it was...
Practical.
We used to have 2 hours field practicals where we'll be given bullocks.
Oh.
We have to plow fields.
Really?
Yeah. we have to, yeah, we have to, clean water channels, what you call bhal safai. We would be harvesting wheat. We will be identifying different weeds in the field.
That's very hands-on.
Yeah, then we will go in orchards and, identify all different stages of mango, banana, all different kinds of orchards. We'll go there and couple all of this with the climate of Pakistan. June, July.
Oh my God.
And you are 2 hours in the field.
Where you can't breathe without an air conditioner.
Yeah. And there was no air conditioning in that university. So it killed whatever Nawab was in me, that I am Firon, or my father owns land, or my grandfather had. I learned, to be grounded and very well grounded in the society. But I always wanted Vara to be there was a time when my mother said, okay, after BS, you should move back to Lahore and get into MBA.
Okay.
My elder brother, one of the elder brothers, Khalid, he was doing MBA from Punjab University, and he was also doing ACMA. He's mashallah, he built a wonderful career in Pakistan as a financial expert. So my mother said, yeah, after agriculture, there's no scope. So on professional seat, you can get into Punjab University. And I said, no, I want to study biology. So I stayed there. Then she told me, you should do CSS. Because there were a couple of very, very good examples, shining examples of good CSP officers in my family. She said, yeah, if anyone in our next generation can do CSS exam, it's you. I said, no, I want to study biology. And again, she told me, look, you're not going to go back to Faisalabad. So I finished my degree. I was topper in BS Honors, horticulture. I think out of a badge of 450 or so, I was third.
Wow.
And in my department, I was topmost student out of a badge of 50 students, I think. And I wanted to go back to do masters, because I identified in those 4 years that, I want to be a researcher. I had no idea what research is all about. In those times in Pakistan, very few people used to do research. But my teachers, two of my great teachers, great mentors, Dr. Ibrahim and Dr. Waqar sir, they identified the scientist in me, and they said, you should go in research. And I said, where? And they said, yeah, you should do MS with us and we will do thesis, blah, blah, blah. I told my mother, and my mother said, agriculture has no scope. So you should...
Just like veteran.
Yeah, she said, you should do CSS.
Yeah.
I took admission in my MS in horticulture, in Agriculture University. And for 3 to 4 months break between BS and MS, start of classes, I started preparing for CSS just to
Pacify your mom.
not pacify, just to give it a try.
Okay. You wanted to do it yourself as well. You wanted to know what...
I just wanted to look, what it is in all these subjects. So I remember again, Javed Bhai was my guide, and he helped me buy all the books, European history, and I don't know, 3 subjects or 4 subjects I picked up.
You take sociology in that as well? Or?
No. I was just, in those 2 months, I read European history. And I told my mother after 2 months, I'm sorry, I'm going back to university. I said, this is not my cup of tea.
Okay.
You know what did I do in my life? Very few people know, my brothers know. At every critical juncture, when I was in hostel, when I was in hostel. When I had to choose major, and being topper in the batch, I could go to any major.
Yes.
And I was double-minded what to do. I talked to Javed Bhai and I decided, okay, I do istikhara in university time.
Okay.
And that's what kept me in horticulture. Horticulture used to be a major of, the bottom of the merits. And I was the topmost, and all my friends went there as well. So I think that was perhaps the most brilliant kids in horticulture ever, maybe. Such a big number. When I was going back, telling my mother, I'm not going to do CSS, I did istikhara. And this was a time we were living in Model Town, and that was a time, so I grew up, and me and my mother used to share our bedroom. So I did istikhara, and I was told that, not now, and I'm talking about July, August 1996. So I was given a very, very clear indication, not now.
Not now.
And I was given, if you have to do CSS, September 1999. Wow. It was such a clear date.
Exact date.
That's another topic, how I got. My istikharas used to be very, very clear.
Precise.
Very clear. Very clear. I never had problems decoding what I am being. Because istikhara is something, when there are two paths, and you don't know which one to choose, you just talk to God. And very clearly I was told September 99. So I packed up and I told my mother. My mother had she cannot stop me because it's divine connection. And
the only thing that can trump a mother.
Yeah. So I packed up, I went back to Agriculture University, started my master's there. And after first semester, within first semester, it started in August or so. Within first semester, we were having, I think, midterms. Somebody told me that, within Faisalabad, there is an institute called National Institute for Biotechnology and Genetic Engineering. That's the second institute. I give credit to whatever I have achieved little in my life. And somebody told me NIBG has invited applications for MPhil in biotechnology. Now, I had no idea what biotechnology is all about. Because in agriculture, we were not taught in those days what DNA is, the depth of the deep knowledge about DNA. So my teacher, Dr. Ibrahim and Waqar, they said, this is the place you should go. So I went through admission test, etc. And to cut the long story short, I got into NIBG. So January 1997, I was sitting in NIBG Faisalabad. So a move within city.
Yes.
NIBG was, I think, a very forward-looking institute. It belongs to Pakistan Atomic Energy Commission. Very forward-looking. Vision it had. And they used to recruit only 6 to 8 students all over Pakistan. And I was that fortunate. I was that lucky. Having no background in biotechnology or molecular biology. Teachers there were great. Curriculum was great. And it was basically a research institute where scientific officers and senior scientific officers used to work in 6 different disciplines: plant biotech, health biotech, environment, bioprocessing, etc. So we were learning from real researchers there.
That's great exposure.
We were, for the first ever time, I saw, okay, what research is all about, what academic side is all about, how to put theory into practice. NIPG not only changed my life as a student, because I had a totally new discipline. So I left all the agriculture behind. I took a total 90-degree turn and started learning new subjects in the, now we call that subject cell and molecular biology, which is about DNA science, gene cloning, etc. And to tell you the truth, it was so difficult for me because I had no background. So I had to work double, triple than my peers there. And Alhamdulillah, I stood first there again. By the time I finished there, 1999 March, I got a call. I had secured admission in Cambridge on Commonwealth Scholarship, and I got a interview call from Friedrich Mischer Institute in Basel. That's FMI, in short form, FMI Basel in Switzerland. And they invited me there for 3 days. They grilled me there. And after MPhil from NIPG, that was like, plan was to go for PhD. And at the end of those 3 days, I learned that they had shortlisted 25 students out of a batch of 500 plus.
Wow.
Out of 25, they have finalized 4. And I was lucky guy among those 4.
That's amazing.
So I was getting into PhD I got, final offer in end of April there. Then they had to prepare Swiss work permit, etc. It took another 3 months, and semester started in 1st of September 1999. Now you can connect that with the Istikhara.
I did, yes.
So I was told, if you have to do CSS, not now, it was September 99. And in 1st September 99, I was sitting in Basel, Switzerland. 31st of August, I left here.
Wow.
So that's where I did my PhD. I think I learned working with, there were 96 nationalities in that institute.
Wow.
Basel is a beautiful, beautiful hub of culture, education, industry, pharmaceutical industry. While in Switzerland, I realized, I was so-called topper in agriculture university at NIPG. And here I am, and I don't know anything.
Yes.
I realized all my previous education, it made me extremely hardworking student. It made me extremely resilient. But when it comes to concepts, fundamentals, basics, they were not there. They were not there. So I had to really, really work hard there, struggle. And first thing was to find purpose. Why am I doing science? Why do we do science? How do we do science? And this was a totally new life, totally new learning, I would say. And I owe to my colleagues, particularly my mentor, Tariq, and indeed to Switzerland. I owe a lot because that was a lifetime opportunity to learn science, I would say. And when I say science, science is not just a subject. There were many opportunities to reflect, explore my own self. Who am I?
So how did you maintain your identity of a Muslim as well, along with going into deep research in science? Because this is a very common concept that if you're a
Yeah.
scientist, you're probably not a religious person, or probably an atheist or something like that. And if you are going to stick to being a Muslim, then you can't really question, explore, and find. So basically, finding your evidence of God in a lab. How did you come to that?
I think again I would mention my mother here. What I said earlier, mothers have a huge role in our lives.
Indeed.
When I was leaving for Switzerland, she put a copy of Holy Quran in my backpack. That was a Quran copy which Khalid used to read in his childhood. Our father bought us. And my mother said, you better carry Quran with you. You may need this.
Okay,
You
okay, so she
will
was
need-
saying for protection.
No.
She wanted you to.
She said,
Okay.
maybe you need it.
Okay.
And I remember we were standing in our car porch in Model Town home, and I said, no, I can't carry this because backpack is on my back, so,
Yes,
all these things.
Yeah.
She said, nothing will happen. You keep it. You will need it. So, when I arrived in Switzerland, I lived in one of the most beautiful towns in Basel, which is Riehen. Riehen is slightly away from the main city. So 5 in the evening, I arrived in my apartment, and I had a habit of whenever I go back to hostels or to my accommodation, I used to open my bag, put everything in cupboards, clean up room. So I did all that, and it was like 7 in the evening, and I was thinking, no TV, nothing, there's a room. What else I should do? Should I go out for a walk?
Yeah.
And I said, I don't know the tongue. I picked up my backpack and I said, oh, there's Quran there. I took the Quran and placed it at the topmost.
Possible place.
All these things.
Of course.
While I was placing it there, I thought, okay, let's start reading what's in Quran. So when I started reading, intentionally I made a commitment, okay, every day I'm going to read one ruku,
Okay.
but with translation.
Yes.
Whether I come 11 in the night or after midnight back to my apartment in next few months, I did this. And I think in 9 months or so I finished Quran with
With the
translation. One ruku every day, and it was nearly 9 months or so. And 2 weeks into my life in Switzerland, in my lab work, I don't know what happened. I tell you a very interesting story. The day I arrived, the same night when I started reading Quran, because my apartment was available only after 5, so my Japanese colleague who picked me from airport, he brought me directly into lab. Everybody welcomed me, and Tariq came. Tariq was the name of my mentor.
Yeah.
And they said, okay, we have a meeting, and by 1:30 we will have a welcome for Tariq, and there's a lab meeting as well.
Okay.
My first ever exposure of what lab meeting is all about. Everybody is sitting around the table, and then they had glasses with champagne. I don't know what that was. Everybody had a glass. Tariq had glasses were empty. There was a bottle in the ice, and he took out the champagne bottle, opened, and then he started pouring in the glasses. And I learned, okay, when the bottle opened, I realized, okay, what it is. And then everybody picked up the glass and said, "Cheers, Tariq." And I had my hands like this, like somebody is going to, I'm not going to touch it. And Yurik said, "Why don't you drink?" I said, "I don't drink."
Yeah.
And on Yurik's right,
Yeah.
Moise was sitting. Moise was from Tunisia,
Okay.
a Muslim, a very good friend. So Yurik said, "Why don't you drink?" I said, "I'm Muslim, I can't drink." He said, "But Moise is drinking, so he is wrong." Now, think about where the divine plan, how the divine plan is working.
Yeah.
I never thought of what should I answer. Immediately I said, "No, Moise is not wrong. Moise is doing what he thinks is right for him.
Yeah.
I will be wrong if I do it." That's what I have learned.
That's a very tight spot.
Very tight spot. And there are so many things coming to my mind. I'm on probation for 6 months. If I don't drink alcohol, they may kick me out. All these things,
Of course.
all these complexes or fears we have in our minds in the society.
Worst case scenario.
I said, "God, okay." And Yurik said, "Okay." Yurik left the room. After some time, he came back with 4 bottles, glass bottles of orange juice.
Oh, okay. That's very interesting.
Gave me, and he said, "Is this okay?" I said, "Yeah." We toasted with my orange juice.
Orange juice.
And that was the beginning of my life in Switzerland. I was not a regular person in my prayers. In my life in Pakistan, I was a very ordinary Muslim. In my agriculture university, in 4 or 5 years, I think I have maybe gone for Jummah prayer only 10 times in 4 years. In Nibji, maybe twice. So I was not even into mosque, but my mother's training had something that we were grounded in our family values.
Ritualistic, but the spirit or the essence of
Yeah, so we knew what our values are, what our mother had told us. And 1 week into my life in Switzerland, start of my PhD, in the lab meeting, I told Yurik, "Yurik, I want to discuss something with you." And he said, "What?" I said, "Yurik, our job is not that we work from 9 to 5. In science, we work, late nights and etc. But, I have to say my prayers, and when I go back home, I combine all the prayers, Zohar, Asr, 4 prayers, and I say my prayers. Now, here's a person who never said prayers in his life. But I started doing this when started reading that Quran with Urdu translation. You know what Yurik said? I said, "Can I say my prayers in my lab?" He said, "No. You better do it in postdoc office." Now, I was not a postdoc. I was a PhD.
yeah.
A postdoc office was shared by 6 people. I said, "I don't want to disturb postdocs." He said, "They will not be disturbed. You don't do this you need peaceful place. Lab is not peaceful, Tariq. So you go and say your prayers and if postdoc office is busy, Tariq, you use my office." Now, here you think the impact Yurik has left in my life.
Yes.
And next 4 years in Switzerland, I said my prayers in postdoc office and many times in Yurik's office. And I remember the first day when I said my prayer, I had no Jai Namaz. I did not carry prayer mat because that was still in my home.
Yeah.
So I took that, what you in Pakistan nowadays use this kitchen roll, the long tissue paper.
Yes.
So we used to have that for cleaning hands in the lab. So I opened that and I started praying. And I realized in the postdoc office, there was a pin drop. Everybody kept quiet. When I finished my prayer and I said, "Look, that's not the purpose of my prayer. I don't want to intervene in your routine."
Yes.
And from that day, everybody used to talk or do. And I used to say my prayer. 4 years I spent in that lab. You ask me how I kept my identity as Muslim or my faith in God, still being a biologist and a believer.
Yes.
There were countless occasions when we used to have this discussion in the lab. They would say, I remember once one person said, he's a professor in Geneva now, a very good friend of me, Romanul. So he said, how can you do biology? You can't do biology because you are in religion. We used to have, and it was I think our lab environment, PhD as well as postdoc, where I did in Hyderabad, they were beautiful places. I never was shying away from discussing very difficult questions to me. Many harsh criticism on my faith or belief, and it was always for learning.
Yes.
It was not rubbish kind of discussion. And I told him, I don't know again from where it came in my mind. I said, you have a wrong impression about
Muslims.
Islam. I have read Quran, and in Quran, on multiple occasions, he's saying, you have to think deep. Or gauro fikr karo. Or gauro fikr. You have to think deep and find, clues or the cues for his existence. And I said, what I have decoded these lines into, that science is the best profession he has chosen. He invites us to question and think deep. And I also told him story of Hazrat Ibrahim.
Yes.
And Hazrat Ibrahim's conversation with God, when God said, okay, you go bring 4 birds. And when I told him, I said, look, isn't it an experiment?
Absolutely, yes.
So Prophet Ibrahim asked a question and Allah did an experiment and he proved, look. So you can question, you can have a conversation with the God. So I think reading that Quran with translation, somehow, I don't know. I can't give a definitive answer, but that somehow trained some of my neurons, which used to answer right away. People used to ask me religious questions, and I had answer, and I never thought about those questions. And I think I would give credit to all my colleagues there, the society there, my mentors there. They always respected me because of my faith and religion.
That's amazing.
On parties, they would have with a toothpick a tiny flag.
Yeah.
It used to be written for Tariq.
Oh, that is so sweet.
They knew Tariq does not eat pork. This is halal. This is non-halal. So this was a multicultural society which gave me an opportunity to explore myself.
With you.
Yeah. And I started questioning myself as well.
Yeah.
So I think when I tell my students and my children, I say, I was very lucky. I explored my God and my bond with God. It developed when I was not surrounded by Muslims at all.
Yes. By the so-called people of faith.
I used to have conversations and they used to respect me so much. There were many occasions I used to teach them about our Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. I would tell them, this is wrong, the wrong perception you have. The biggest shock for them was when I said, if I show tiniest of disrespect for Jesus,
Yes.
I'm out of Islam.
Yes.
They were shocked. And one Italian came and he said, hey, because Italians are Catholics.
Yeah.
What are you saying? I said, yeah. So there were many such, countless I would tell you. And I grew up as a scientist who never thought religion and science are in two bins. This is a wrong start in science. This is, if a scientist is trained this way, he is already being biased. So, yes, as a religious person, I should not be criticizing science without knowing science.
Yes.
And vice versa. As a scientist, I should not be just bundling up all the religious people and criticizing Islam or any religion without knowing religion. I better read. I better understand what religious teachings are all about. So I think I had no difficulty in my whole life. People do ask me, how can you be, a scientist and a believer? I said, come on. My religion, Islam, has chosen, for me, in my understanding, research, being scientist as the highest profession, because Allah again and again in Quran is inviting us to look around universe and explore universe and think about, and he's telling us the moons and the stars and the suns, they are revolving and in their orbits, in their axis. I mean, man, all this is science. What else it is?
Absolutely.
So I think the problem starts when the so-called scientists with big chips, I'm from MIT, I'm from Stanford, I'm from Harvard, I'm from FMI, I'm from Oxford. We start belittling others.
Yes.
And we start, without reading, without knowing what religion is all about, we start, criticizing and say, okay, religion and science are in two different bins. In my personal opinion, they both are done best if they're in the one bin.
Yes, opinionism. Yes.
Because my religion invites me to do more and more thinking, more and more research. And when I am in research and thinking mode, in my lab, I'm getting more and more closer to him because I see some signs and proofs of his existence. For example, when I look at the eye of the fly, fruit fly, which I use for research, I always say Subhanallah. God does not need, I don't do science to prove God.
Yeah.
No. My faith does not need any proof. Okay? Because science is a continuously evolving subject. We discover today, we improve upon that. Sometimes we say, oh yeah, that was wrong. We are building new model. So we continuously are evolving as a scientist. Our knowledge is evolving. My faith is that God exists. He is there. There is a plan. There is a meta plan. Okay? Which we can't explain, but we can feel. We can communicate with Him. Yes. This is what I do, I believe. But problem starts when people with half knowledge, half-baked, half-truths, they start,
loud.
Yeah. And I don't think good scientists, I lived for my postdoc after my PhD, I went to Heidelberg in Germany. Again, wonderful people. I had no problem there. I think my real turn in my life came in when, during my PhD. During my PhD, I met Babaji, Sayyid Safdar Ali Bukhari. Everybody now knows message about Surah Rahman. When first time I met him, that was a totally new dimension. I would say a dimension which even science is yet to explore. Our textbooks, they will get revised. Our textbooks or our scientific books will somehow readjust or they will recalibrate to understand what this dimension is, because we are not yet there. We know there's a knowledge which exists beyond our books. And that's what science accepts. Because, for the past 70 years, we are trying to discover treatment for cancer.
Yes.
And we are not there.
We are not.
So it means many things which are beyond our knowledge. So when I met Babaji, Sayyid Safdar Ali Bukhari Sahab, And that was during my PhD. And I was stuck during my PhD on a scientific question. And here's a gentleman who is sitting in Hira Mandi, Lahore. And he hits me so hard during our conversation that I realized, because I went there with a bias.
Yeah, of course.
I went there with a bias that Javed Bhai goes there and, my elder brother is being misguided.
Is being radicalized.
Yeah. Not radicalized, but because our mother did not train us, our family did not have this history of, babas or spirituality or darbars or whatever. We were very simple in our faith. And when I left my first meeting after, it was December, I think, 2002, yeah. November, December 2002. When I left that room, I had answer to a question where I was stuck in my PhD. And we were coming back home. Javed Bhai was driving motorbike and I was sitting behind, and we were driving on mall.
Yeah.
And I realized, oh man, I went there and, it started hitting me. Oh God. So, I think being a scientist with the, whatever society knows us as, oh yeah, ये professor साहब हैं, इन्होंने PhD फलां जगह से की है, he has a postdoc, then he has served this, and this somehow goes in our head.
Yeah.
And we become pharaohs, or we become, judgmental, as well as we become conscious that whatever we will say, it may, harm my professorhood or my image. And, talking about Surah Rahman, or talking about Baba, or talking about Islam, or talking about faith, it may not suit
might not look educated enough.
And that's where our society, unfortunately, has gone away from truth.
Yes.
Because we want truth which is convenient for us.
Yes.
And we don't want to speak what is difficult, where we may lose friends, where we may lose, our reputation, or we may lose our positions of authority, because you may not be promoted. Yes. So that's where I think the real problem starts, when after so much education, and I think that was same for, if I go back in history, Abu Jahl was the same thing. Yes. He was guy, man of wisdom, known as man of wisdom. But Abu Jahl, he saw the truth, he saw what is right, but he did not accept that.
The truth changed his authority.
Yeah, because he felt, he will be looked upon by others. So I think best thing is if we teach our kids to be humble, grounded in the values we wish them to grow with in when we are not there. So these are the torch bearers.
Absolutely.
So living few years with Baba, and I met him just 10 hours max, I would say.
The
total of my journey with him is 10 hours. Wow. Recently, Renato was here, my postdoc mentor, another man who shaped my life as a scientist. And when we went to Lilla, he went there. He met Dr. Javed as well. So when we went to Lilla, and he said, so because wherever I went, Yurek's lab, Renato's lab, I talked about Surah Rahman. I did dua with them and all these things. And when I told him my whole journey spans just 10 hours, he was shocked. He said, how can someone change your perspective in life
It can be so impactful.
just in 10 hours?
For the rest of
life.
That's amazing.
So, taking religion and science is natural to me. I never find anything difficult in my science which contradicts my religion, or my religion which contradicts my religion. My message to youth is, nothing in our religion contradicts science, and nothing in science contradicts religion. All this, what you talk about, which endangers your beliefs or faith, this is part of books, knowledge, and you should explore that. Your faith should not be so weak, which is in danger, which is in danger because of few theories.
True.
Go deep in those theories, you will love, and you will say, oh, Quran mein bhi Allah yahi keh raha hai.
Are there any standing out instances in your lab where you felt that your faith was also backed up by scientific proof now, things that you've been believing in?
There is a ayat in Quran which says, and we have created everything in pairs.
Yes.
And when we ask people who are authorities in religion, they tell us, yeah, look around, you have male and female in pair.
Yes.
This is the most common explanation we get.
Yes.
When I was doing PhD, I was working on genes, how genes are turned off and how genes are turned on. So in order to do this kind of research, and this is the domain which we call epigenetics. In order to do this level of research, you have to have basic understanding of genetics, the Mendelian genetics, the 200 years old discipline. And while doing a couple of genetic problems, I saw that Mendel said genes, or he said factors, they exist in pairs. And that ayat of Quran struck in my mind that वो बड़ी प्यारी आयत है. हमने हर चीज को जोड़ों में पैदा किया है. We have created everything in pairs, and even those which you don't know.
Oh.
Next part is so, my God. Who knew 1400 years ago genes? Okay, genes exist in pairs. If genes exist in pairs, chromosomes exist in pairs. And when I was in postdoc in Heidelberg, in Germany, I started working on a project which was famously, people know that as mad cow disease, in which the brain, the plaques in the brain, these are specialized proteins, and these proteins, if we eat that meat, that disease is transmitted to us from buffalo, and they cull all those animals if it happens. So these are the prions, simplest definition of prions. So Renato came to me and he said, Tariq, what do you think about a normal protein in the cell which turns gene on and off? What do you think? They have a prion-like switch, aggregate and soluble, soluble and aggregate. I started, very crazy idea, extremely crazy idea, but an extremely original idea in science. I said, yeah, let me think about that. I started developing that project. as I kept reading about, because my own literature for prions was not much. So I read a lot about prions, all possible papers. The more I read, and again the same ayat struck me, it's not only the genes which exist in pairs, it's the proteins which exist in pairs as well. Look how many different states they have. They have soluble, and then within soluble they have a modified protein, we call them phosphorylated or chemically modified protein. And then here is something which is called aggregated, and aggregated and soluble if there are two states. So there are many instances where I realized, it's our short-sightedness, it's the blinkers we wear, and we don't accept conversation, we don't discuss. Allah is inviting us to learn more and more and more. And the more we learn, the more grateful we become to Him.
Yes.
Like I'm talking to you now, and it's so convenient for me. I take these things for granted. My hands are moving. I think in 1 hour, more than 1 hour conversation with you, I don't know how many breaths I have taken, inhaled, exhaled. Just think about your own existence. And you will realize how helpless we are.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
The deeper you study biology, cell and molecular biology, the field I'm in, every day you come across things and you say, Subhanallah. And you say, come on.
Yes.
So people who discourage or who guide next generation of students and scientists that you have to have religion and science into two bins. My advice to my youth is, you will be a better scientist if you take both together.
That's amazing.
Even to the religious guy, I would say you will be a better religious scholar if you study science. Take them both together. Look at our own history. When we were creating alkali, soap was made by Muslims, glass, sundials, the first sundials, the clock, because significance of time for Muslim was too important, too high because of the timings of the prayers when they started moving away from Medina. What was all that? Wasn't it science?
Absolutely.
The circumference of the earth, Al-Biruni did. The structure of the eye and its similarity with the camera.
Yes.
Were they not Muslims?
Absolutely.
They were far better Muslims. They were reading Quran, and from there they were saying, we have to see how big the universe, how big the earth is. We have to see the whole circumference of the earth and then see how much more earth is left to be conquered. So I think our problem is we don't read. We don't talk to our kids anymore. We don't have conversations. The biggest impact left in my life by Baba is that, I keep talking to me whole day and I keep dreaming. He told me once, you're having a conversation, and my relationship with Baba was very different. Battamiz, because he gave me, I think, freedom because he knew he is here for just few hours or so. So I would always tell him, no, this is not true what you're saying. And he would say, okay, then what your science says about this? And my answer would always be, my science does not know about this. Then he said, no, your science will tell you. And I had a couple of questions to him and he said, no matter how much you struggle, Tariq, no matter how much hard work you do, all this is meaningless. Everything will start falling in line. Everything will start making sense to you in the years to come. And I remember I had a fight with him and I said, what is this? No matter how much hard work I do or no matter how much effort I put, it's meaningless. How is it possible? You know? And he just laughed. He said, yeah. Now I realized what he meant actually when he says, तेरी कोशिश का कोई अमल दखल नहीं है, रास्ते खुद खुलते जाएंगे. Basically, working hard is in our instinct.
Yes.
We can't sit idle. Yeah. We will keep giving our best. Yeah. We'll give our best. But results lie with Allah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So our duty is to work hard. Our duty is to give our best. But when results are in our favor,
yeah,
it's okay. And if results are not in our favor, it should be okay.
Yeah, it should.
That's what he meant. So he left a huge imprint and I became more and more and more fearless. There were times I was a fearless scientist. And credit is to Tariq and Renato. And then Baba's training made me fearless in terms of I started loving death.
Surrender makes you fearless, I think.
I started loving death. I said, okay, what will happen? So we have to go, we have to do, we have to achieve. It doesn't mean one start jumping from a cliff and say, that's not what I meant.
Yeah.
You rightly described. It's surrender. You say, okay, this should be done, this must be done, we'll do this. And this is the level of trust you should and I should have in my Allah.
Yes.
He's taking care of me.
Anyway, he's your friend.
Yeah.
How safe, protected, comfortable you feel in the company of a true friend, of a best friend of sorts. And if death means going back to him, meeting him, what could be wrong with that?
Yeah. Yeah.
That should be the best thing ever, Meeting after such a long time of a grueling journey and heartbreak in this world. And then, you get to meet him and embrace him in his, comfort and his love and his lap. What else could you ask for?
I think it reminds me, Maula Ali, he said, death protects life.
Yes. So why worry?
When I read that, God.
Yeah.
I think I was living in Switzerland that time. And I realized, God. And I tried to understand what he actually really meant.
Yeah.
God, death protects life. And when you see their lives, from Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam time to Maula Hussain, and then of course the tragedy Bibi Zainab went through and all these things. Everything has a lesson for us. And it's not only just for Muslims, I say.
For all humanity, the values that they stood for are universal. I mean, anybody having even the slightest bit of empathy or understanding of humanity would stand by that. Or that line that says that tamam insaniyat will say will pukaregi Hussain.
Yeah.
I don't remember the exact phrase, but
Hussain hamare hai. Yeah.
When they'll be aware
Hussain belongs to us.
Yes.
Yeah.
Everybody will want to own him.
Yeah.
Even in an Islamic country, it's a marginalized, tabooed part of the society. But yes.